was driving to work this morning, I was listening to another radio station, as we broadcasters sometimes do. What I heard shocked and saddened me.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They're here, nerds.
Wait, is this the group that goes around mutilating squirrels?
You just mind your P's and Q's, Buster, and remember who you're dealing with.
Well, at least we found them.
Fortuitous, Captain. And now that we have them all together,
you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They make one person go, blah, 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 and the other person go, what are you talking about? And then one person goes, blah, 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 blah.
Welcome into it, and welcome to the weekend here on what will be a pre-recorded edition, because by the time this airs a second time this evening, I should be, if all flights are working properly, in North Carolina. Hope everything is going well. Jeff behind the board, thank you very much, sir, for sticking around on a Friday and making this thing happen.
You got it, buddy.
David in studio, how are you, sir? Yeah, I agree. And we not only have Ryan, who is normally on the phone, by the way. Hello, Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing well, Steve. How is everyone doing?
Doing quite fine. We also got Josh on the phone because apparently things are too busy over there at the Irwin Brothers Palatial Studios to be able to allow you to come in today.
Never too busy for the Entertainment Roundtable, though.
Yeah, well, that was a different story about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, except when he is.
That's when I'm too busy.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see here. What do we got going on? Jacob, unfortunately, not able to check in with us, but he has told me the ratings of the films that we did get to go see last week, and we saw 3 films last week. Yeah, I said 3. We actually went and saw the re-edited version of Anchorman 2. I'll get to that in a minute because, well, it'll be the first thing we review. Why? It made no money. So there you go. Let's see. Anybody have the chance to see 300? Anybody want to see 300?
I want to.
You want to see 300?
Yes, I do. I'm fired up for it, as a matter of fact.
You saw the first one?
I own the first one.
And loved it, obviously?
The good parts version. That's where
Wait, there are more versions than one? Because I have one version.
Well, it's, I have the theatrical version, but then I skip anything that takes place back in Sparta once they march.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh, okay. So this is the Jeff edit.
Right, yeah. Once they march, it's all, the 300 versus the Persians.
I love the 300. I love 300, and I'm definitely going to check out probably tomorrow.
Okay, so we'll have 2 reviews on that. Ryan, any interest at all?
Yes, I am interested. I do want to see it. I just don't think I'll have time right now.
Gotcha. Any interest at all?
I didn't even realize it came out this week.
Man, you've been paying a lot of attention, haven't you?
But, Snyder's not directing, so I'll probably just wait until it comes out on DVD or something.
Okay. We'll talk more about that here in just a couple of minutes, and let's get into the top 10 of the week. And before we do that, it was about 15 or so where Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues, came in on the grand scheme of things, made about $1.5 million over the past weekend, and that's about right. And the reason why is because quasi drummed up more interest when they did a re-edited version. And Jacob and I have had the chance to talk about this on several occasions, not necessarily on the air, but apparently they did so many takes between Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd and everybody else, Steve Carell and all the other people who were involved in the making of that film, that apparently they had enough footage to make, I don't know, potentially 3, possibly 4 specific edits of this film.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, and I'm not going to get into his idea of it overall, but Jacob gave it an 8.
Yeah, he said it was better than the theatrical.
I'm not going to go so far as to give it an 8, because I remember the first one, and I gave it right around a 5. I will say that this one wasn't actually a better version of the other one, despite the fact that it was actually a little bit longer. This one checks in at about 2.5 hours long, but it was funnier. And one of my biggest complaints about the first one was Christina Applegate. I don't know whether it was her acting style or just by the time everything was done and she was just kind of done and they chose all the really wooden, I'm gassed kind of takes or whatever it was. But the first release that came out over the holiday season, she was just not inspired. She actually showed some emotion and some range, and she was legitimately funny in several scenes in this edit. So I will give it a better mark of about a 5.5, but I'm not going to go so far as to say it was a great film. It was funny. It was funnier. And I will say this, we went and saw it Saturday night, and by Sunday, when Jacob and I went to go see the movie Son of God, we were like, yeah, we need to go repent after we saw Anchorman 2, because it does get the R rating, and it deserves it. So just keep that in mind. That said, I think it was only supposed to be out in theaters for a week, so if you can find it this weekend in movie theaters, this will be the last weekend I think you'll be able to find it in movie theaters, because it's just not going to go.
Yes, hurry to the theaters to see the DVD extra.
Yeah, or quite frankly, just wait, because when it comes out on DVD, you'll be just fine. Up to the number 10 here, and in at number 10, you got Ride Along. Ride Along making another $3 million, 127.2, and I see exactly why it is getting the sequel that it's getting. $127 million for a film that cost about what to make, Josh? What, 40 tops?
Yeah, probably 40.
So, yeah, I can understand with that kind of profit margin that they would want to make another one.
Sure.
About Last Night, in at number 9, 3.3 million, 43.7. Frozen just keeps making money. $3.6 million is up to $388.8 million. It's going to be, by the time it's all said and done, it's going to be just shy, I think, of the $400 million mark. Pompeii.
Seeing the release, the comeback of Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, their films are starting to make more money than some Pixar films.
That's true, but we'll have to see what their next one does. I'm not so certain. I mean, what are they working on? Do we know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. They're keeping things close to the vest.
Frozen.
Probably, yeah, exactly. In at number 7, Pompeii, the worst film I've seen in decades. $4.3 million, 17.8 total. RoboCop, $4.5 million, 51.2, up to The Monuments Men as we move into the top 5. Another $4.9 million there, 65.6. The Kevin Costner film 3 Days to Kill, $4.9 million, 20.8 for it. Then we get to number 3. We get to the Lego Movie, which fell out of the number 1 slot for the first time since its release, but don't cry for it. It made another $20.8 million, so it's now at 209.1.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that film, by the way.
You finally saw it. Okay, real quick, before we go to Josh and get his review, David, you said your roommate?
Right.
Finally went to go see the film, kind of like Josh did,
Yeah.
and this spawned something of an argument between the two of you. Why?
Well, for listeners of the show, I liked the movie, but there were elements within the reality or multiple realities of the movie that bothered me. And we just got into an argument. He sided a little more with you guys and kind of pulled me a little closer to that edge, but not really. I mean, not enough to change the rating.
Yeah.
Because then we eventually got into an argument about my rating system. So he said if I gave it a 5 out of 10, that's 50-50. And I'm like, well, no, because certain things actually like play into it, like rewatchability or, certain things play into things.
Basically, he's looking at you and going, dude, you're overthinking it?
No, he would, his girlfriend said that, but he would never say that to me because that's all we do is overanalyze everything.
I'm not surprised.
That's why we're roommates.
All right. So he disagreed with you. You gave it a 5, right?
Right.
What, based upon what he said, I mean, I don't know as he actually gave you a number. Based upon what he said, what do you think his rating would be?
I'm not sure he really agrees with the idea of a ranking system, but he'd probably, I would imagine he'd probably give it like a 7 or an 8.
Okay, so he liked it. 5 there. You gave it a, 9.5 last week, Jeff?
Yeah, baby.
Okay, and Jacob and Ryan and I were all pretty much right in that area of 8.5 to 9.5 as well. Josh, your thoughts on Lego Movie?
I'm going to try to avoid Lego puns, but that being said, I thought it was a very well put together film.
Couldn't resist, could you?
I love the twist at the end. I laughed my butt off the whole movie. I think this is one of the more original films, animated films, since Toy Story. And, when I'm going into it, I thought, okay, it's going to be Legos. There's going to be stuff I like, and it's going to be, interesting. But I was really blown away where they went with it. And honestly, I'm going to give it close to your guys. I'm going to give it an 8.5. I loved it.
What?
That's big time for Josh, man.
Yeah.
But then again, this is right down his alley. This is what he really, really likes. He likes animated films.
That's true.
So if he really likes an animated film, he's going to give it a high rating. But if you hate it, man, you're going to dig on it.
Oh, yeah. I love animated films, and I love Legos, and I love what this director did. He didn't just say, like, okay, I got a bunch of popular Lego stuff, and I'm just going to do whatever, and it's going to make money. He really, I think, strived to make a great film.
Okay.
at the end, had no idea that was coming. No idea.
Let me ask this, just kind of go around the table on this, because we have a lack of TV news this week, so we can kind of expand upon the movie side of things.
Yay!
So let's talk about this for just a second. Was it last week or a couple of weeks ago that we found out that there was going to be a sequel being made for the Lego Movie, and we found out it's slated to be released, what year, 2017?
Yeah.
Are they going to call it the Lego Movie Part 2?
Part 2, yeah, probably, or the bigger block. I don't know which. But either way, where do you think, and I'll start with you, Josh, and then I'm going to go to Ryan, and we'll go around the table. Where do you think they might go with this plot?
You know, I hope they, I don't know, I imagine they'll stick with the same characters. I almost wish they would kind of just scrap it and come with a new kind of idea into it. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's Mr. Business becomes good and has a nemesis. I don't know. I don't know really where they can go with it, and if they'll use kind of their trick they used at the end of the last film and expand upon that, or they might just start over with a new kid. I don't know.
Okay, interesting thought, Ryan.
A lot of possibilities.
As far as the sequel is concerned, I mean, they ended it kind of on a cliffhanger, so I kind of want to see where they go with another element/enemy into the Lego world. So I say continue off from that cliffhanger that they left us with at the very end of the film, or you can go and the sky's the limit for this universe, practically, because if you want to bring in more DC characters, bring them in. You want to bring other fictional characters into the mix, bring them in. It only adds more excitement to the film.
Okay.
There's really a lot to build on.
Stop it, Josh. Jeff?
Man, if it was up to me, I would go the Total Gremlins 2 route, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, okay.
You know, the message in this one was about, playing with your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And where this one left off, so I don't see why. I hope in the next one it's all about learning to share with a younger sibling. And so anything goes in Lego World when you've got little sister throwing whatever.
Okay, so you want kid number 2 brought into this.
Oh, yeah, just go crazy with it.
All right. David?
I would want to bypass kid number 2. I think
go straight to kid number 3.
No, I think it would actually be interesting for kid number 1 to outgrow the Legos, and for the father to suddenly be very sad, and like the next movie would be his own thing.
Okay, so the Lego world as viewed by the father.
Right, coping with the idea that his child has actually outgrown him. Either that or the idea that the mother is the bad guy because she just thinks they're both ridiculous.
She's boxing them up.
Right.
Oh, wow. There's an interesting one there.
Like,
I kind of like that one.
About a week before the divorce is finalized. Because there's no way she's truly happy in this marriage.
Yeah, really. Spends all of his time downstairs building Lego cities.
Entire segments of the city are just vanishing.
Grow up and get some Walking Dead Legos, and it becomes a zombie Lego film.
Like, truly, my biggest problem with the movie was how nice she sounded when she's like, dinner. I'm like, yeah, right.
He's got this picture of, oh gosh, he's got this picture of Leave It to Beaver's mom up there.
June.
Yeah, June Cleaver with the pearls on and the dress, but with a big old knife. Dinner. Right. No, what I would like to see, I think, I kind of want to go back and kind of scrap the whole thing and start all over again. Because Ryan's right in a lot of ways. There are a lot of places that you can go with this and have fun within the Lego universe. And I would kind of like to see an entirely different story and to see, we've got one kid's imagination. Let's go with another kid's imagination, see where that leads us. Because I think you could have a whole lot of fun with it.
That's what I was saying. That when you have like the younger person playing, it's the unfettered, unfiltered imagination.
Yeah.
So anything can go in Lego World.
You know what would be really cool? You know that alternate company that they're kind of like Legos? They have the Star Trek license. They're Legos, but they're not Legos.
Was it like Connects or something like
that?
No,
like Uggos or something. Like
I kind of know what you're talking about. I can't think of the brand name.
They should just be the bad guy. Like, they just go and, we couldn't get these characters with this, so we should just get this brand and just bring that in. Like, I don't know. I think it would be kind of interesting to bring in a number of smaller brands that are kind of like Lego, and we could do Connects as well.
Okay.
Like a merging of universes.
And then the whole place exploded.
Dude,
Come on, we're all going Avengers style now. Let's just bring them all together.
Yeah, exactly. All right, up to number 2, Son of God, debuting at $25.6 million. This is the film that is, of course, based upon the miniseries that ran on the History Channel last year called The Bible. They took out most of the elements that dealt with anything that did not relate to the story of Jesus, Son of God, and put it together in about a 2.5-hour long film. And Jacob and I went to go see this. Josh, you wanted to. I don't know as you ever made it, though, did you?
I didn't. Honestly, I'm kind of having second thoughts because I love The Passion of Christ so much. I know it's a different film.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like the style in which the Bible series was. I know it was wildly popular, and I think it's a great idea. But something about me, I'm not excited about it. So I think I'm just going to skip it and watch it on DVD.
Jacob gave it, what did Jacob give it? Jacob gave it a 7.5, and I'm inclined to go right in about that area. And the reason why is because it was fantastic as a miniseries, but you look at the film, which is 2.5 hours long, and you go, that was a good film that would have been a great miniseries. And, I hate to say that because I think there's a great message to it. I think that it might actually prompt some people, and again, this is somewhat of a Hollywoodization of the Bible, of the story of Jesus. There is no doubt about it. It's certainly nowhere near as raw as the movie you mentioned, Josh, which was The Passion of the Christ, came out about a decade ago. But it is very well done. What it does, though, I think it's 2.5 hours long, so it's a lengthy film, number one. And number two, it spends so much time on how Jesus went and got the disciples that it really doesn't spend enough time on how he got on the radar, if you will, of the Pharisees, and it just goes from gathering disciples right to him butting heads with the Pharisees and leading up to, obviously, when he was crucified. Now, past his crucifixion, I think they do it very well, but I'm inclined to agree. I give it about an 8. It's a beautiful film. It's a little bit long. They could have probably done the editing just a little bit different for me. If you are inclined and you are a Christian, it is worth going to see. Don't believe everything that you see in the film because, again, this is Hollywood making an entertainment version of it. But for those of you who are kind of, you're on the fence, you believe in God, and you haven't really cracked open the Bible, it might be worth really going back to me and actually watching the Bible miniseries and then going into your Bible and starting to fill in the blanks that were left by that miniseries before you go any further. That's where I go with it. It's good. It's a beautiful film. It's, again, like I said, Josh, nowhere near as brutal, especially towards the end, as Passion of the Christ is. But it is good. I agree, though, Passion of the Christ is a better film.
Interesting stats about that film. Apparently I heard that in Son of God, the audiences were, I think it was like 70%, pretty high, over the age of 25. Most of them were there. So basically an older audience went to see this film, like a church audience. So not your typical demographic that goes out to films.
Yeah, and I think probably the biggest hurdle is going to be this weekend because we had so many churches buying big blocks or even whole entire theaters to go out and see this film. So week number 2, I think, is going to be the interesting question. Will it be able to maintain the momentum of a $25.6 million? And I would like to say yes, but unfortunately I'm going to say it's not.
If I'm going to make a guesstimate, I'm going to say we look at a 40 or 50% drop. Because
I would see that.
I've been on the insides of these marketing calls before and the strategies behind these things, and you're right. The first week strategy is always getting churches to buy out massive amounts of showtime. And without that, I just don't see the conversion. I don't see that the word of mouth picking up and taking this any further.
Yep, I got it. All right, when we come back, we got one more film to talk about. It's the number 1 film of the week. Ironically, we have to stop before we talk about Nonstop.
Hope you got your popcorn, because we're back to the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
Not very often you go big band on the Entertainment Roundtable, but after last week when we kind of dedicated everything to Harold Ramis, who had passed away at the age of 69, this week we're coming back with music that is in the first one on a soundtrack to a film that is coming out that week.
300, right?
No, actually, this is the soundtrack to Mr. Peabody and Sherman, if you can believe it. It's Rhapsody in Blue, as done by the Glenn Miller Band.
We should do Big Band more often. It makes me feel kind of classy and dangerous.
Big band music makes him feel dangerous?
Yeah.
Something makes him feel classy?
Get a little Minnie the Moocher, you know? Well, classy in that, like, you know...
in the Sam Spade kind of thing?
That gangsta kind of way, you know? Or
Gangster Private Eye sort of?
You dizzy dog.
Yeah, I'm a gumshoe.
He's a gum something.
Yeah. That's how I understand it.
She walked in. She was about 5 gallons in a 4-gallon dress.
She walked in. She looked like a planet with 3 smaller women orbiting around her.
Oh, gosh. We're going to have a really bad private detective film coming up here before too much longer. Entertainment Roundtable Productions presents a really bad film. Up to number 1 and nonstop debuts to $28.8 million. This is the movie that stars Liam Neeson, and Jacob and I went to go see it. Jacob gives it a what? He gave it a 7. I walked into it, and I'm kind of sitting here thinking, okay, this is going to be Liam Neeson doing his Taken thing with a little bit of Die Hard, a little bit of Passenger 57. I was actually a little pleasantly surprised, to be real honest with you. It was a better film than I was thinking it was going to be. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not breaking any new ground. You're not going to go in there and go, hey, wow, this is so different. No, you're not. But if you're interested in some of the films that I just mentioned, you'll actually probably kind of like it. Liam Neeson does a very good job. It's kind of like going back to 3 Days to Kill. Kevin Costner actually brings something to the role as opposed to just being, I don't know, a warm body in a suit with a gun. He actually gets in and embodies the role, and whereas Kevin Costner played it with a kind of a wink of his eye and a little bit of a comic side of things, Liam Neeson takes it a little bit more seriously, but you kind of enjoy the ride as you go along with it. It's a popcorn film. It's a film, Ryan, I think, was it 3 Days to Kill that you mentioned would kind of be this year's Olympus Has Fallen?
No, that was somebody else who mentioned that one.
That was Jacob.
Was it Jacob? Okay. I can see where he's going with that, and Nonstop is kind of that way. You're not going to be overly thrilled. You're not going to walk out of there thinking it was the best film you ever saw. But it's a fun ride. It's a good popcorn film, and it's, you know, if you're looking for something to waste 90 minutes to 2 hours with, Nonstop is one of the better ways you could do it. You could certainly do a heck of a lot worse.
Or you can catch up on Rick and Morty on Adult Swim.
Well, there you go. I would say that the 7 that Jacob gave it probably is right about right. If you are a Liam Neeson fan and you are a fan of genre films like this, you'll enjoy it. If this is not your cup of tea, you could skip it and you wouldn't even have to worry about it. So there you go.
I mean, I'll pretty much watch any movie that Liam Neeson or Morgan Freeman's in just because I love hearing their voice. They have just epic voices. So I'm game to watch this.
Okay. Yeah, it's worth it. I mean, again, if you are a fan of Liam Neeson and a fan of films like this, it's worth it. Then you get what's coming out this week, 300, Rise of an Empire. Sullen Stapleton, Eva Green, Lena Headey. It's the sequel to the film, 300. This time after Darius is killed by the Greeks, Xerxes seeks to become a god himself and comes face-to-face with the commander of the Athenians. Does that help or hurt you in any way, Jeff? I have not seen 300. I have no idea what it's about.
Seriously?
Other than it's about a whole bunch of people in the in Athens and Sparta fighting each other.
What the crap, Steve?
I've never seen it.
Actually, it's Sparta and Persia.
Nice. You need to watch this movie.
Do I really? Do I need to watch this?
Yeah.
300 is
Do I need to watch this?
No, you will love to watch this.
You'll like it.
You'll dig it, man.
Okay.
You're a guy.
All right, well, let me ask this question then of you, Jeff, and Josh, hang on. Jeff, your rating, if we were to rate 300, what would you have given it?
As a movie?
Yes.
Like a 7.5. As like an action movie?
Uh-huh.
It's like a 30. Seriously, I mean, it's just one of those that it occupies its own little space.
Okay.
Between the visuals and the action and the...
I really love it.
Yeah?
I would give it a 9.
Okay. Wow.
I love it.
For a non-animated film, for him to give it a 9, that says something. Ryan, you agree?
As far as which film now?
Let's go to the original 300. What would you have rated the original 300?
Probably a 5.
Okay, so you weren't as impressed.
No, I mean, it had its... I mean, granted, the special effects at that time were pretty cool, the slow-mo and the fight scenes, and yes, there was a lot of blood.
Sure.
But other than that, I don't think it's that epic as everyone makes it out to be. That's why I'm hoping that this sequel will make up for some of the mistakes I thought were made in the first film.
All right, where are you going with it? Hang on, Josh.
I'd give it a 7.5 to an 8. I think it was a pretty great film, honestly.
Okay, so I need to check this out. All right, go ahead, Josh.
I was just saying that Ryan gives Fast and the Furious 70 a 10 out of 10, and he gives 300 a 5. I don't even understand that.
It's okay, buddy.
Defend your position, Ryan.
Dude, to each their own. We all have our right to opinion. Deal with it.
Okay.
Bam.
There you go.
I would say this is Sparta and kick you into a deep hole.
All right. So before I even consider thinking of seeing 300 Rise of an Empire, I need to see 300.
Yes.
Yes?
It's... Unless you know the history of it, right?
I know the basic history of it, yeah,
Okay.
but I don't know specifics.
I think whether you see Rise of an Empire or not, you should see 300.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Who's going to see it this weekend? Anybody?
Oh, I am for sure.
Josh is. Jeff?
I'm going to try. I haven't got anything in concrete yet. But yeah, it's on my radar.
David, you?
If I'm free from work and it's a free movie, I'll probably go see it.
Okay. And Ryan, I was left with the impression that if you had the opportunity, you might, but you got things that you're probably paying more attention to in the upcoming weeks.
Yes. I have a lot on my plate right now, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to see it until like a number of weeks later.
Gotcha. Okay. The other film coming out would be for families, and this will make the third animated film if Frozen stays in the top 10. That probably will be in the top 10. You've got the voices of Ty Burrell, Allison Janney, Stephen Colbert, and others. The animated film is about the extremely intelligent dog and his boy. They've built and used what's called a Wayback Time machine. They have big adventures, but to impress a girl, Sherman decides to go off and use the machine without Mr. Peabody, and history gets skewed, so they have to go in and fix everything. Our good friends down at the Amstar Theater in Alabaster, they've got a weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, where they're going to be doing all kinds of activities for the family. So if you want to go see it, go down and see our friends down there at Amstar. They would love to have you and get you in on those films. Out in limited release, if you were so interested, and I forget who it was I mentioned. It might have been you, Jeff. The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh, yeah. Wes Anderson, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ralph Fiennes, F. Murray Abraham, and many others. What is this about? Do you know?
I don't care. It's Wes Anderson, man.
Oh, it's just Wes Anderson. You don't care.
It's a hotel.
Well, obviously, it's the Grand Budapest Hotel.
I don't know if anybody can explain what it's about, but it will be awesome, and I'm going to see it.
This is very, from what I've read, it's very Anderson-y in its convoluted quirkiness.
Wes Anderson,
you're really not helping me at all here.
Wes Anderson movies aren't really synopsisable.
I think you just invented a word.
I like it. We'll
Yeah.
have to see if we can't petition Webster's dictionary to come up with that one.
That won't stop me from using it.
Okay, so we're not gonna worry you necessarily about a plot. We're just excited to see it if we know where it is.
Exactly.
Because, again, this is limited release. You're going to have to do a little searching. Also out in limited release, the documentary Jodorowsky's Dune. Apparently this is somebody's idea of making the film Dune, and it failed miserably, kind of like the film that came out 3 decades ago.
Well, it was. I actually kind of want to see this. I don't want to see it in the theater, but this sounds like an interesting documentary.
It'll come out on documentary here soon.
Man, this guy, he had some crazy ideas for that movie.
I'll agree with that. Journey to the West, Conquering the Demons, and a film called Grand Piano, which stars Elijah Wood and John Cusack, all out in limited release. I'm wondering if the Grand Budapest Hotel is one of those films that's going to start in limited release and go wide. Does anybody know, Josh?
Yeah, I would imagine that. That's how they do those kind of art house movies, kind of like, Silver Linings Playbook started that way.
Yeah.
Her started that way. A lot of those kind of films that are not very commercialized but have a following start out in small release, so they build up word of mouth. So by the time it goes wide release, people are like, "Oh, you got to see this film."
Gotcha.
So I would imagine, yes.
Do you know for specifics?
I don't have any specifics on it, but yeah, I mean, his last, Moonrise Kingdom did the same thing. Started out limited
and went wide. Okay.
I just turned around one year and Moonrise Kingdom was out, and I was like, hey, cool, another one.
There you go. 3 films that I can note come out next week that have stars in it or will be going wide. Need for Speed, based upon the video game of the same name. Veronica Mars, based upon the TV show of the same name. And something called Bad Words.
I'm actually excited about Veronica Mars because they raised the money from a Kickstarter, which I thought was pretty.
That was the one that was all fan produced. I wonder if they had enough money to actually make a good film.
Well, they had $5 million off of Kickstarter, so I imagine they probably went to a studio with $5 million, and the studio probably threw an additional 5 to 10. But I mean, the fact that the fans raised the money for this and made this, I love that, because I mean that's kind of the future, I think, of things where people can choose the kind of entertainment they want by putting their dollars behind it. I think it's pretty cool.
Now we get to find out whether the fans that put the dollars into the film to get it produced will actually go and watch the film.
It's weird. It doesn't always mean that, because there was a film called Blue Like Jazz, and it was the first kind of crowdsourced funded film, and they raised like $300,000 for the film to help finish it. And it kind of had a poor release. It was based off of the Donald Miller book that sold I think 7 million copies, and it didn't do so well.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of give or take. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Anybody watch the show?
Never. No.
Anybody?
I didn't, but it was on UPN. It was Joss Whedon's favorite television show.
Interesting.
But I mean, it was
the people who like it
shoestring.
love it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like Firefly. I mean, you get into this. They just love the show and everything about it. Ryan, did you ever see the show?
Yeah, I actually went ahead, got the DVD set of the first season, respectively. I watched it. I loved it, but I have yet to see the other 2 seasons. But then again, the film is going to introduce new fans as well as bring in the original fans, so no one's caught off guard. No one's too surprised. They're going to do a little bit of a backstory in the opening moments of the film. So this is actually another film that is on my radar. Plus, how can you say no to Kristen Bell?
So in some ways, this is a continuation off the series, but if you are brand new to it, you don't have to necessarily have watched the series to be able to get into this?
Right, yes.
That's what I've heard, yeah.
Okay. I guess we'll find out more when we get to this next week. Let's talk about what we got as far as movie news is concerned here and see how much we can get to before we got a break. The trailer for the upcoming Transformers Age of Extinction. First of all, have we all seen it? Jeff, have you seen it?
Sword gun.
I beg your pardon?
There's a sword gun.
Okay. You've seen it.
I have
David,
seen
you've
it.
seen it. Josh, have you seen it?
I have.
Okay. And Ryan, I know you have. We'll start with you. You're the biggest Transformers fan on the panel.
Well, I thank you for that. I appreciate it. But also, Transformers Age of Extinction, I like the trailer. It looks very different from the first trilogy. Very different. A lot darker, a lot grittier, more ominous. Plus, new characters are thrown into the mix, and I always love when they do that. And plus, Optimus Prime looks more awesomer than he's been before. And plus, Marky Mark leading the way with the human cast. I'm all in, man. I can't wait to see this bad boy.
Optimus Prime looked a little rusty to begin with, but I guess that'll change as we go on through. Josh, where you want to go with it?
So here's where I'm standing. When I first watched the trailer, I was not impressed, but when I watched it a couple more times, I started to get more into it. The first Transformers movie, which I liked, was a story about a boy in his car.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is about a man in his truck. I think it's kind of going back to the essence of what we loved about Transformers and not all the giant graphics and super hot women running around. So I'm actually excited about this. I'm excited to see where they're going to go. It seems very original.
Jeff?
It may be a guy in his truck, but it's also a guy in his truck and Dinobots and more giant spaceships coming to Earth and mass destruction. I think they're going back to the that little formula, but it's still going to be I believe going to be bigger than before.
Yeah.
So whatever, it's Transformers. You really can't expect too much.
You've never been really all that enthusiastic. You were never enthusiastic about the first one.
It was all right.
Yeah. So your enthusiasm really hasn't moved at all.
1 and 3 are they're pretty good. Part 2, I would murder if I ran into it on the street. But so if this one, people don't absolutely shred it, I'll see it eventually.
Oh, okay. So you're not an opening weekend kind of guy on this.
No.
You're going to wait and see what the reaction is.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, David?
So I couldn't help but notice that Mark Wahlberg's daughter is basically just borrowing from Fox's wardrobe. And I guess he's a little too worried about finding a Transformer to slap his daughter and be like, go put on some pants. You don't need Daisy Dukes and stripper boots. Based on the preview, I would say that Michael Bay's only interested in growing one thing, and it ain't his skills as a director. So I'm going to opt out just like I did with Part 3, because I don't want to see a movie about robots fighting. And by the way, it doesn't even look like robots fighting. You can't tell who it is in any of these movies. They look like giant transforming clouds just like hitting each other.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm out. I don't want to watch a movie about robots by a man-child.
Let me ask this question. Did you see any of them in the movie theater?
I saw the first two.
Okay. All right. I saw the first one, kind of liked it. Thought it was a nice kind of origin story. The second one kind of went by in a big blur, and I haven't seen the third one yet. But in looking at this, I understand that they're going into a fourth film here, but in looking at the trailer to it, there is this kind of a reboot feel because there were a lot of people thinking this was going to be exactly that, a reboot. I like the idea of, some guy just trying to make ends meet by pulling stuff out of junkyards and, tearing it apart and selling it all for scrap metal. And then, of course, he finds out something. I think what we're finding, though, he's just trying to make ends meet. I understand.
Yeah, no, it reminded me of the second most egregious thing I saw in the trailer, which was he brought a Transformer back to life with jumper cables.
Yes. That I found a little bit of a stretch. But hey, let's face it, we're talking about Transformers. We're having to put reality a little bit aside here when you're talking about the basic premise of the entire film. But I don't know. I will probably go see it. I will probably want to, I will probably check out the third one just to kind of make sure that I understand where everything is going. I'm afraid they're going to go down one tired plot line here, and that's going to be something that X-Men has already done, in that we've got this faction of the government that says, hey, we don't need you, we don't want you, get out of here, go away, leave us alone, and then all of a sudden we get what you mentioned earlier, Jeff, which was an alien invasion, and all of a sudden the government's going to go, oh, wait a minute, sorry, we were wrong, and please come back and save our tiny, stupid butts.
With your sword gun.
Exactly. So,
sword.
Again, I will probably go see it, but I'm thinking it's going to be kind of like a nonstop or a 3 Days to Kill. I'm not probably going to go gushing over it, but it'll be kind of a fun little popcorn film and perfect for the summertime. When is its release date, Ryan?
Yes, sir. Transformers Age of Extinction is going to hit theaters everywhere on June the 27th of 2014. And two things to keep in mind here, guys.
Summer blockbuster time.
Check your brain at the door. And number two, whether you love it or you hate the franchise, Transformers is without a shadow of a doubt a big cash cow.
It's a cash cow. There's no doubt about that.
And that release date, that's the day that the U.S.'s IQ is going to drop another 50 points.
Like we needed to go any further. We got to take a break. When we come back, we will talk about another sequel, this one a little bit more on the horror side. So we'll talk about that. We got other movie news and a very little bit of television news next.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
Hey, welcome back in. Listening to the Entertainment Roundtable here on a weekend where we're hoping we're past winter. I'd like to get into warmer weather. And we're talking about movies here as we start to gear up towards the warmer weather. The TV theme show will make sense as we get into TV news a little bit later, and mainly because of the fact that we have no idea what they're going to use as theme music for the new Gotham series, so I just went with the old Batman instead.
They should use that.
They should, I agree. Ryan, let's talk about another sequel here. Instead of Transformers, how about The Purge? It is coming out later this year, and apparently later than they originally planned. What is the holdup?
Yes, sir. For The Purge Anarchy, it has been bumped back to July the 18th, where it's going to go up against Jupiter Ascending from the Wachowski siblings, as well as Planes 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the heck they're calling it, Fire and Rescue.
They already made a sequel to Planes, the animated film? Planes?
Yes, they have, yeah.
What a bad idea.
Well, there's Disney's next film, then.
That just came out last year, right?
I believe it did.
Did they already have that thing in the... I guess they had to have already had that thing in the can.
Yeah, I guess so.
I hate that. That's part of the Disney animation that annoys me, because that was going to be a straight-to-DVD movie, and they're like, oh, let's just put it in theaters and play off cars.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right.
I want to see one called Life Rafts, where they're all just life rafts like floating in the ocean.
Wow, we've gone way off topic here. We originally were talking about The Purge, and now we're talking about Disney films. You want to talk about two things that don't match. All right, I'll tell you what. We'll get back to the whole Disney thing here in a minute. Okay, so The Purge is going up. What was the one? Jupiter Rising?
No, Jupiter Ascending.
Jupiter
Ascending. By the Wachowski siblings.
Yeah.
I don't even know anything about this. What is it?
Sci-fi epic, baby.
Bizarre.
It's a piece of junk that's starring, what's his name, Channing Lacunas.
Sword gun.
So Josh is going that it's a piece of junk, and we've got Jeff over here who is just amped to go see this.
No,
what do you know about the film?
Yeah, Mila Kunis, Channing Tatum. Apparently,
yeah, I'm done. I don't know. I'm 50-50.
Channing Tatum plays like this half human, half something else alien who comes to Earth to get Mila Kunis because apparently, unknown to her, she's like the next in line to be like queen of the universe or something.
So what you're saying is Vin Diesel's not the only one slated to be playing an alien piece of wood.
Channing Tatum can act a little bit. Apparently,
No,
really?
He can't act.
I've never been impressed with Channing Tatum.
He cannot act. I mean, he barely got through the G.I. Joe films, man.
I've never been impressed. Give me something.
And it's, it's not like G.I. Joe demanded that much of him
21
either.
Jump Street. He's freaking hilarious.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
No, Jonah Hill is hilarious.
Apparently, he was really good in Magic Mike as well. He's not terrible.
Yeah, for the most part, he's pretty bad.
All right, so you're the one that's actually thrilled about seeing this.
Yeah, plus it's the Wachowskis. I mean, when they do what they want to do, it's always going to be at least interesting.
Well, hey, Channing Tatum is, the Keanu Reeves of the 21st century, so I trust the Wachowskis can actually make it work because I've seen The Matrix.
Well, as long as it's more like Matrix 1 and not Matrix 3.
Yeah, well, they just can't overstretch like they did.
Yeah, I would agree.
Did you guys see their last film they did, Cloud Atlas?
Oh, yeah, I loved it.
And Josh just went, poof. Loved it. What?
You like that?
I guess I'm going to have to borrow Cloud Atlas because I will admit I remember reading the plot line for Cloud Atlas and was thinking to myself, it sounds interesting, but I'm not overly certain that this is a film that I actually want to go see. So I'll go with Jeff and I'll probably just borrow the DVD and see what it's like. Next film up, let's talk about the Pantheon of Jurassic Park. The next one is going to be called Jurassic World, and Ryan, I guess we're going to have a villain, right?
Yeah, I believe so. From the film world as well as the television world, from Law & Order: Criminal Intent, the veteran himself, Vincent D'Onofrio, has been cast as the villain for Jurassic World. It's going to hit theaters everywhere on June the 12th of 2015.
Is he playing a dinosaur?
Actually, what I'm hoping that they do is they do a little bit of a wink to the original Men in Black when he played the alien cockroach.
Uh-huh.
I would love to see something like that come up. Just an urge of mine. I really have no idea why.
That's a strange urge, Steve.
I know. I'm reaching for something here because Jurassic World, Jurassic Park 3 lost me, and I'm really not so certain that it is. We're 15 years past Jurassic Park 3? Or something like that?
It came out in 3, so we're like 10 years plus.
What is the premise for Jurassic World?
I'm not so certain that we really need to go back to this, but okay, yeah, what is the premise for Jurassic World? Do we know?
We know that the new film is going to be set 22 years after the horrific events of the original film, and it's going to be co-starring Chris Pratt, the year of the Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, Ty Simpkins from Iron Man 3, among others.
When do they want this out?
June 12th, 2015.
I can put this into 2015, huh?
It's going to be a big summer, no matter what.
It'll hit triple digits just because I think it's in the Jurassic Park pantheon if it's done half decently, but I'm just not so certain it's going to be one of the big films of the year.
I don't think it'll make even triple digits.
You don't think it'll make 100?
It might by the time it's gone, but 2015 is going to be so big, it's going to be drowning. It's going to be Star Trek V in 1989, if you remember back then.
And Star Trek V was so bad.
With Batman and Ghostbusters 2 coming out, and it's going to drown.
All right, Josh?
Do you know who's directing it?
Colin Trevorrow, who directed a independent film, I think.
Yeah, it's going to drown.
Okay, the first one was done by Spielberg. Does Spielberg have anything to do with this one?
Yeah, he's going to be producing the film with Frank Marshall and another cast of characters.
Okay, so
Which
he's producing,
means no.
not directing.
That means no.
Yeah, he's just kind of overseeing it. He's not hands-on.
I still think this could make a lot of money, dude. I think you're underestimating how many fans of the original Jurassic Park there are.
Well, like I said, I think it'll make $100 million. I'm just not so certain it's going to be one of the bigger moneymakers of the year. Bottom side of the top 10 if it's lucky.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm thinking about the films. I mean, what we've talked about already that's coming out in 2015. I don't know. I've got a hard time thinking that this thing's going to do.
I think top shelf is 150. It's going to be like the Wolverine.
You disagree with that, Josh?
No, I think I think it will do 100. I think it will at least do 100.
Okay.
And man, it's all about what direction they take. It could be the best movie ever, or it could be just a sucky, attempt at a revamping a franchise.
Yeah, I don't see any middle ground here. It's either going to be good or it's going to be horrible. I don't see it gonna. I don't think you're going to see a great film. But, I don't think there's mediocrity here. You're either going to really, really like it or it's just going to be the dumbest thing you've ever seen.
And here's the thing. Either way, I'm down for dinosaurs and going back to the Jurassic Park world. Maybe I'm the only one, but I'm a super Jurassic Park nerd. I loved them. So
even 3?
I didn't love 3. I only liked the first one. I only really liked the first one.
Gotcha.
But the other ones were just kind of like the Jaws ones. I was game for it because I loved the first one.
As I recall, 3 crashed and burned in the box office.
Yeah, and it deserved to. All right, let's move on here. A couple of notes from the superhero section. An actor who we are going to get familiar with in the upcoming Avengers Age of Ultron film has apparently signed a long-term deal. I mean, are we talking about with Marvel?
Yeah.
Okay, what do
Thomas Kretschmann, who is playing Baron von Strucker as a secondary villain in Age of Ultron, has said that he has a multi-picture deal, which means that he will not only appear in the second part of the Avengers, but that they're also planning a longer period of time. But he doesn't know any details because they keep their cards close to their chest.
Okay.
That's paraphrasing from him.
So from a guy who signed a long-term deal to the guy who we're going to see here in about a month, Captain America, the second film in the Captain America series coming out, and the character of Cap is portrayed by Chris Evans. He's saying something about stepping away from Hollywood. So, David, I got to ask, what does that mean for the future of the character, the future of the Avengers franchise, Captain America films? What are we talking about here?
Oh, we don't exactly know, but what they're saying is, what he's saying is that once his multi-picture contract is up with Marvel, that he thinks he's going to take a little break from acting. He's just directed 130 Train, which it was his directorial debut. He also starred with Alice Eve and Mark Casson. But he wants to direct more. He wants to take a break from acting. He said that with acting, you're one piece in a very big puzzle. It's like you helped buy a gift, but you don't know what the gift is. So you come back and see the movie. Sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's tragic. But with directing, you're involved in every single decision. And if he hadn't done it, he'd be kicking himself with 130.
Do we know how many more films he's slated to portray Cap?
I couldn't find that information. I don't know if they're counting his appearance in Thor: The Dark World either. Because that was a cameo, but he still appeared.
Yeah, I wonder. Anybody know how many films he's signed up for?
I think he signed up for the Winter Soldier, Avengers Part 2, and it got to be Avengers Part 3. I mean, you know what they say, good things come in threes. So
right.
If he's not signed up for the Captain America trilogy, he's definitely going to be in the Avengers series.
Okay, so it might be kind of like Robert Downey Jr. Downey Jr. portraying Tony Stark / Iron Man in 3 Iron Man films. He said that he will reprise the role not only for Age of Ultron, which comes out next year, but he's going to appear in the third Avengers film, but after that he's kind of done. So you're thinking Evans may be kind of along the same way?
Yeah.
Okay. The only thing I could find that he was confirmed for was Age of Ultron. I know they are talking about doing Captain America 3.
Yeah.
And they're already trying to get him locked in for Avengers 3, but he's only I've only found that he's confirmed for the second Avengers so far.
Interesting. And then you got Wolverine, and Hugh Jackman's portrayed this character in how many films? 7? Okay. Yeah. He's kind of realizing, David, that probably not going to be able to play that role forever. Does it die with him?
Of course not. Someone asked him about the recasting, and he says it's inevitable. Anyone who thinks they're indispensable in this business is fooling themselves.
Yeah, welcome to radio.
I'm sure, by the way, that it won't always be my decision to always be here. At some point, someone will close the door on me.
Okay, so I'm thinking somebody else eventually will play this.
For now, he is the Wolverine.
All right. Ryan, 2 award ceremonies held over the past weekend. First up, the obvious one, the Oscars. What did you think quickly of the winners and the losers?
I've only seen bits and pieces of this awards ceremony, so I didn't have too much to add to this discussion. But at the same time, I mean, I'm happy that Gravity got all the technical stuff because I knew that was coming a mile away. And congrats to the other winners, even though I only saw 2 of the million nominees there were.
All right. Tell me about some of the winners in the Razzies real quick.
The Razzies, Movie 43 and After Earth were the big winners of the Razzies. They were scooping up 3 awards. 43 was named the worst film of the year. It got recognized for worst screenplay, worst director, and what was it? Will and Jaden Smith were named for After Earth worst supporting actor, worst screen combo, respectively. Lone Ranger was crowned worst prequel, remake, ripoff, or sequel.
Wow. Haven't seen any of them.
What are they gonna do in like a year when like every movie out is one of those like
I wonder.
sequel, remake, reboot?
It will be interesting to see. Out on Blu-ray or DVD next Tuesday. Just a few films. Kind of a critical darling, The Book Thief, the animated straight-to-video Barbie, the Pearl Princess. Inside Llewyn Davis, Homefront, and Out of the Furnace. If you're a TV series collector, kind of sparse, you can get seasons 2 and 3 of the Carol O'Connor In the Heat of the Night. That's really about it. Ryan, TV news real quick. The upcoming Fox show Gotham, more about Commissioner Gordon than Bruce Wayne or Batman. Not that a young Bruce won't show up. We've promised that. Who's going to be playing the teenage head of Wayne Manor?
From the Fox series known as Touch, David Mazouz is going to take on the role of Bruce Wayne in this incarnation.
It's nice to see he's going to get something where he can actually speak and
Yeah,
not in a voiceover kind of manner. Ryan, if we have any questions or comments, how can we get a hold of you, sir?
You can find me on Facebook at Ryan Matthews. If you want to talk film or TV, I'd love to hear from you.
Love it, and we'll talk to you again 1 week from today, okay?
All right, have a good one. Thanks for having me on the show. You guys take care.
We'll do it. Enjoy Comic-Con, by the way.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, boys.
All right. Josh, thank you very much for joining us, and I appreciate it, my friend. Hello, Josh.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I thought you were talking to Ryan.
Yeah, I'm talking to you. We appreciate everything, and thank you so much for joining us, okay?
Will do.
Thank you so much. David, thank you. Unfortunately, we can find you online. We'll talk about it later. Jeff, thank you for everything as well.